Hey there, welcome in. It's Heather with Heather's Healing, and I'm here to look at the upcoming week, which is September 7th through the 13th, 2025. This is a collective read for all signs, so thanks so much for being here. I'm recording this on September 7th, 2025, and today we have a lunar eclipse in Pisces, so it could be a really emotional day. Water signs always bring out emotion. There's always focus on emotion. And then eclipses bring in, I don't want to say agitation, but it's kind of like an exfoliation of energies. And oftentimes they repeat or they shine a light on, especially this lunar eclipse is going to shine a light on what was going on back earlier this year around the end of February, first part of March, when we were entering eclipse season then. So, thinking back to what was going on at that time, there could be repeats of that, or, going back into similar energy, just to drill down a little deeper. And again, it's kind of like an exfoliation of energy. There's always, endings and changes that come up with eclipses. And this energy will go on for probably the rest of the year. So just so you know, just so you can be aware of that. But I love the Pisces energy. So focus on dreams, endings, intuition. Pay attention to your dreams. A great day to journal too. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at what is the overall energy of the upcoming week. Overall energy of the upcoming week, and I hope you guys are all doing well. Thanks so much for being here with me. And we'll take that one. Not super great. It's funny, it came out kind of sideways, so it could be a little bit of an off week, and I'm going to say that just because we're in eclipse season. Anytime we're in eclipse season, it's kind of weird. I love the energy of eclipses. I personally love it. But if you're not very in tune with your emotions, if you aren't really aware of what's going on internally inside of you, you could feel kind of off. And I feel like that's why sometimes the energy can be a little off, because some people are not very self-aware. And because they're not self-aware, they can become agitated and just, they can be dicks. So I'm going to come back to this, but let me pull a card. Interesting that all of those wanted to pop out. I'm not going to take all of these, but I just want to see what's here. Got another 7, got an 8, we got a 4. I hadn't asked my question. That's why I don't want to take these, but I want to look at the beginning of the week, middle of the week, end of the week. Interesting. Okay, we'll see what else we get here. So my question is, show us the energy at the beginning of the week, middle of the week, end of the week. But we do have some really nice astrological things going on this week. So I feel like that's going to help soften the energy, especially starting around Thursday, around September 11th. We have Jupiter in Cancer, which is a really nice joyful balance between being very logical and practical, but also nourishing yourself emotionally. Okay, so beginning of the week, middle of the week, end of the week. So we have the 7 of Swords here, and what I feel from, well, I've got papers all over the place. What I feel from this card is it's a siphoning of energy. So I feel like it could just be overall really easy for our energy to be drained. One, because we have, and everybody's going to be different on this, so keep that in mind. But one, because we have a full moon. The energy of the full moon does carry through about 24 hours before the full moon and 24 hours after. So the full moon is today. Full moons for me they do zap my energy. and everybody's different. um and then we also have the energy of the eclipse here too, and that can really stir things up and people can just feel agitated. So I do feel like there could be a siphoning of energy this week, and also people just not acting on they're not being their best self. So, work with, if you have, I would say work with shungite this week. Shungite smoky quartz would be really great. I also think moonstone would be a great crystal to work with, but I like the shungite and the smoky quartz for creating a protective boundary around your auric field. So that's why I would suggest working with those this week, but just fill into whatever feels good for you and work with that. So that's kind of the overall energy. Beginning of the week, we've got the Five of Cups. So this is grief. Five of Cups is grief. This is grief. This is sadness. This is sadness it's grieving a loss. There's no way around it. So this is the energy at the beginning of the week. This is, of course, collective. So this might not resonate with everybody. But I can say, and I have noticed that with eclipses, there's often a feeling of, even if you haven't lost someone or there isn't something really tragic going on, there's just a sense of, there can be a sense of nostalgia there with the eclipse energy, and that can make people grieve the past or grieve what no longer is. So that energy can be coming up, but there's also a lot of endings. This could be grieving the loss of somebody, remembering them, that sort of thing. It could also just be feeling really disappointed at the state of the world, everything going on. Again, it can be really easy also to feel very overwhelmed this week. So just be mindful of that, and be mindful of how you're spending your energy. I know I say this all the time, but really be mindful of that, especially this week when there is a lot of things pulling, a lot of situations pulling at our energy. So just keep that in mind. Middle of the week, what do we have? Ace of Wands. So the Ace of Wands, I'm just going to say more of the same. There's not a lot of new energy coming in. It could even feel kind of stale. I would say this is going to be a week where you are going to have to inspire yourself. People around you, things going on may not be super inspiring. So be your own best friend, cheer yourself up, treat yourself well. But this just feels kind of stale and stagnant. But I know this will shift around Thursday, and especially going into the weekend. That energy is really going to be shifting, and this weekend would be a great time for creative inspiration, that type of energy. Creative arts, writing, journaling, drawing, photography, anything like that is going to be really well aspected towards the weekend. So the beginning of the week might be feeling kind of heavy. The energy might be feeling kind of stale and stagnant, but that will shift around Thursday into the weekend. So just keep that in mind. Nice. We've got the Two of Cups coming in at the end of the weekend, or at the end of the week. This is a really nice energy. Partnerships are going to be highlighted, emotional connection with others. This is a lot of harmony, trust, being intimate, letting people into your world. So I really like this energy towards the end of the week. So it starts off a little bumpy, but gets better towards the end of the week. So just keep that in mind. What else did I want to say about this week? Yeah, so this weekend, you could have a lot of, powerful insights, divine inspiration. So just pay attention to that. And if you are in the northern Utah area, this Saturday, September 13th, I'm having an in-person spirit session. There are spots available still, and if you'd like to join me, it'll be a lot of fun. And we'll have a meditation. I'll do a reading for each person, and I'll also have crystals available for purchase. All right, you guys, blessings on your week. I hope it's fantastic. Great week, you guys, and I will talk to you soon.